Hello everyone and welcome back to Timberborn. This is episode 4 of the Mega Build Let's Play series. In the last episode we got quite a bit done. You can see that we have the channel established for the river, and we also have a couple engines set up, plus we have the permanent location for the explosives factory and the smelter set up. We also have a couple more smelters in order to make some more metal blocks, because we have the first metal block platform set up right here, but we're working on the other one. If I can go and look at it, we still have another about 40 metal blocks until it's finished. But we are making pretty good progress on the mega build. I think one of the first things we're going to do right off the bat is try and construct part of this back wall. It's going to take a lot of levees in order for us to get all the way to as high as it needs to go. We're not going to be able to go up all the way. We're only going to be able to go up a couple levels. But before we start working on that, I just wanted to make another announcement that we have the 1,000 subscriber special coming up. It is going to be a Q&A, and that will be the next video that will be uploaded to this channel. So if you have any last minute questions about Timberborn, the channel, or myself, go ahead and leave them down below. And if you haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button and be sure to subscribe. And if you want to get early access to these Mega Build Let's Play videos, then become a channel member. Doing so gives you some cool perks, and it also helps out the channel even more. And with that, I will see you in just a minute after we construct part of this back wall. So we have couple things that I missed while we were recording this. Looks like the haulers were not feeding this furnace, so these guys are not getting any power, but we just checked it, so now the haulers should be bringing wood over here. We do have a decent amount of wood left, which is fantastic. I bet that they were chopping down a bunch of trees while we were constructing this. They also chopped down all these trees, but we didn't have this forester up and running, so he is now planting those again. Metal blocks are looking pretty good, and looks like they did finish this. And it looks like we are maxed out on gears and almost planks. We can probably start storing a little bit of extra gears right now. I imagine there's going to be a drought or bad tide coming up soon since it is day 15. And so I think one of the next steps is going to be to start raising some of these up. And then once we have those raised up, we can look at getting the bad water diversion system set up over here. So we're going to have something kind of like this, where we have some floodgates along here, and then we'll probably carve out a little bit of the channel and then have the bad water go out this way. A wall will be set up here, that way the water doesn't spill out into the city over here. But first things first, we'll need to get these raised up, so we'll start planning that right now. And at the beginning of day 17, it looks like we have a drought approaching. So the first thing that we're going to do in building this wall up right here, first we're going to need to remove this. We're going to do both of these actually. And then we're going to get some scaffolding set up. And if we have it at this height, then that should be enough. And then we'll just need to extend the path over here, so that way once they finish building all this, they can reach all the walls that we're going to be placing over here. And so the whole thing is actually set up so that up here is a little bit higher, or I guess I should say the platforms that we're going to be placing above here are going to be just above this level, and then it's going to start dropping down over here and then drop down even more over here. So it's kind of a tiered system. And with this being a smaller map, it's kind of hard to get some angles, especially with this mountain in the way. Because if I want to look from here, we're looking through the water and through the land, and then on the backside we have this massive wall. So it is definitely a game of angles for these mega builds. But we can go ahead and start planning, so we're going to pause this and then put in what we want to have for the wall right here. It's going to be going up 2 full levels, and then we'll have a 3rd level with the dams on top. The dams are really just for aesthetics, to make it a little bit more broken up instead of just having levees the whole time. And I believe this should be enough. I think they can reach up here and then one above, but just in case they can't, we're going to put in a platform and a set of stairs. So we'll have that set across, and we're going to go into the time lapse, and I'll see you in just a moment. Looks like we made it through the drought no problem, and we finished constructing this part of the wall. Doing a resource check, it looks like we're down a little bit on water. Wood's looking pretty good. Food's also looking okay. And we are just rolling in planks right now. We are just about maxed out. Gears are going up and metal blocks as well. We're not looking too shabby. So now that we have this front wall built up, we're going to start building up the wall right here, and then also putting in some platforms in between this areas as well. Although first we can go ahead and get rid of the scaffolding, because this was just here in order to make the construction of the walls go a bit quicker. And so we will have them collect this if they can fit it, although we're getting pretty close to being maxed out on planks. And we're also going to put some stairs in here, that way they can get up a little bit quicker, but we will need to do the same down here as well, since they can't actually get to be right up here without going all the way around this way and zigzagging back over here. So this will just make it a bit quicker and make the next part of the mega build go even faster. And you can see that the smelter is now way closer. It's only 12 tiles away from the district center. Before it was 80. So that's also a nice little bonus having this be closer. We're going to go ahead and plan the next stage. We're going to only extend it all the way to here for now. And then we're going to fill the rest of this in with platforms. And so we have this planned out. We just need to prioritize all this just in case there's anything else on the map that they're working on. And now I'll find a good angle and I'll see you in just a moment. So we have finished this part of the mega build, although there's a little mishap. As you can see, there are beavers collecting wood, and if we just scroll down a little bit, if we turn off water also, you can see there's a little bit of wood left. I started doing the time lapse and then I didn't realize that I actually had the silhouettes left on, so you could see all the stuff that I'd placed down. Thankfully I caught it early, so they'd only built a few structures, not completing the whole thing first. But errors like that happen, and you just have to deal with it. We are still doing great on wood, which I was a little concerned we'd run out, but I guess they just keep harvesting trees while the mega build goes on. And while we still have a little bit of time before the next drought or bad tide, we're going to go ahead and start working on this next section. We have another part of the mega build complete, although we are still working on right down here, but you can't see that in the time lapse, so just kind of ended it, and now it is done. But what we will be doing is there are going to be levees extending up here, and that's going to give us a little bit of water storage. But the thing is that we can't put those up to block here until we have the wall over here set up. And also I'm just noticing that we're down to only 12 planks, and we're down to only 2 scrap metal, so we have to start stocking up on resources here. We can pause some of these builders for now, and then put in a few scavenger flags. And we can start chopping down some of these trees, unpause some of these guys. We're still surprisingly doing good on planks, even though we just made a bunch of platforms over here. And we can get rid of these scavenger flags over here, because we got all the scrap metal over in this area, and it's almost time that we actually need to get a mine set up, because you can see these guys have been making pretty good work of all the scrap metal over here. We're already up to 8,500 signs, which is fantastic. So we have more than enough to unlock this, but we don't have any treated planks at all. So I actually might not have these guys chop these trees down, because this is some pine resin that's available. And we'll need to be stocking that up, which I should have thought about that a little bit earlier. But I guess we're going to be starting now, so we need to unlock the tapper shack. And then we'll have this warehouse be set to store pine resin. And right here we can go ahead and start setting up the wood workshop. And we have plenty of science for that as well. We'll just need to add in a few more water wheels, but we have access on this side. And the drought has officially started, but we are doing fantastic on water. We don't really need a whole lot on easy mode. And these guys keep pumping anyways, because the water here isn't super important since we have some stored up along this area and then a small amount down here. Looks like we did finish that tapper shack, so he's working on getting some pine resin collected. There's not a whole lot of trees over here, unfortunately, so it's going to take a while for us to get that going. I think we need to have some more trees than just this for the pine resin. We might need to make some of these trees over here also not get chopped down. So we'll just start with these ones over here, and then this little section. We'll go ahead and get another tapper shack, but these trees are just starting to grow up, so not super high on the priority list. And we're doing okay on wood, but I would like to get up here, no pun intended, so that we can chop some of these trees down. So I do have some dynamite slated to be put there, but we need to be able to get over there. So if we get this staircase constructed, they should be able to make this first one, and then we'll be able to work our way up that way slowly. And then I think we'll do something like this. We'll just start going up here, and then as long as we connect it with paths, it should be good to go. And we will need a lumberjack flag to chop down this first tree right up here. So this guy should be sufficient to get that done, and he can actually reach quite a few of the trees up here. And the drought has officially ended, made it through no problem. Water's still looking great. Although we are starting to go down in food a little bit, we might want to get some other food planted. We can temporarily at least plant some cassavas over here. And then we can get a fermenter set up right here and have this set to fermented cassavas. A lot of my food production in the final mega build was going to be right around here, and then a lot of the crops are actually going to be over here, but we have a bit of a wood shortage right now, so we can't really move the farm from here over to this area right now. And we did get the first dynamite placed, so we'll go ahead and detonate that. And then we'll get the next staircase set up, and then we'll be almost completely ready after detonating that one. Then they can just make their way up to the top. And we also have our first treated plank. We only have like 9 pine resin, but we gotta start somewhere. And at this point I think it's just a little bit of a waiting game. We don't really have a whole lot that we can do right now. We need to stock up on some wood, because that is going to be the limiting factor for constructing the next section over here, and then also getting the bad water diversion system set up so they can go over in this direction. You know, now that I mentioned that, we might be able to build a little bit of the area over here, specifically right along this stretch. We'll need to get some triple floodgates, and then I need to confirm that this is at the right height, because I think it should go up one more level. Okay, so I'm looking at what I want to do, and I think I want to go along this direction and then do exactly what I was saying. Put in a couple triple floodgates. We will need to blow away some of this land, but we can hold off on demolishing this until a later date. So we'll just start with getting a few levees and then the triple floodgate set up. So I'm going to design that, and then I'll once again see you guys in just a moment. And just like that, we have the floodgate set up and then also some of the levees. But we're still pretty short on wood, so we have to wait a little bit for them to restock on that. So we can go ahead and unpause this other smelter now that we have a bunch of scrap metal saved up. And it looks like we have some of our first cassavas picked. You can see there's a bunch of them growing up right now. And so Vuji over here should be going to grab those, and then we should be getting some fermented ones pretty shortly. And not a moment too soon, because we are starting to run pretty low on food. And in order to deal with this food shortage, we're going to be unlocking the hydroponic garden. And at least for the near future, we're going to be placing that right on top of here. We just need to get a platform and a path set up. And then this takes quite a while. We're going to be going with mushrooms for this, because if you take a look in here, in the fermenter, fermented mushrooms, it only takes 4 mushrooms to turn into 16 edible mushrooms. And so with that, we don't need to have any additional buildings like the food factory, which is how we make algae into algae rations. But for algae rations, we also need canola oil. So we're just going to be sticking with fermented mushrooms for now. And we'll probably make a second fermenter once there are some mushrooms that are available. And I also noticed this guy is sitting around because I didn't mark any of these trees to get chopped down. So now that we have those marked, he should appear somewhere. And that will also help us with our wood shortage. And now that this guy cleared a path, we'll go ahead and add another lumberjack flag, just so that he has a buddy to help him out up here. And we're also ready to unlock the number cruncher, and that will fit perfectly right here. And luckily it doesn't take any logs, it just takes plank skiers and metal blocks, which we have a lot of all those. And so that should free up a few beavers from these inventors' huts. And it looks like we have our first mushrooms that are being grown. It takes a whopping 192 hours in order to get 45 mushrooms. But that 45 mushrooms will turn into 180 fermented mushrooms. So that will be a nice boost to the food stores. It has been a few days, and as you can see, we have a drought approaching in just 3 days. We're doing way better on wood, almost 700 now. And we also built a second medium water storage tank, although they haven't really put anything in there yet. It is still just these 2 beavers. We can probably prioritize both of these by haulers. That should increase their pumping capacity, since they won't be having to walk back and forth to put the water in the storage containers. And our mushrooms are starting to grow up. They look actually a little bit like mushrooms now. And for this next phase of the mega build, we're going to be building up this wall right here. And so we'll actually need to get rid of this path going along here. But we did build an alternative path, and that should allow them to get over here generally with ease. Won't be quite as efficient, but it's pretty close. And we have enough wood that we can build up these 3 levels, so we're going to go ahead and do that right now. And I'm hoping that this priority order should allow the beavers to build it without trapping themselves, but maybe this is making it worse. We'll see. We do need to turn on both of these builders' huts. And then we can also pause all these inventors huts. And this is the view that we'll get for the mega build. And just like that, we are done with this section. We're also at the point that we can now build this wall up as well as this wall over here. Since the water won't be flooding out over here, I think the only concern would be that the water would go above this level. So we would have to wait just a little bit longer before building this up too much. And I'm also seeing that we are now having beavers who don't have any scrap metal to collect. Although if we build a single staircase right here, I think that should open this one piece up. But either way, we do need to get the mine up and running, so let's go ahead and unlock that in here. It takes 4 science, but we have enough, so we can go ahead and do that. I said 4 science, but it takes 4,000 science. Collecting scrap metal will require having gears and treated planks. If we have dynamite, it'll be even more efficient, so we'll probably go with that recipe, since we are currently maxed out on dynamite. Unfortunately, we are a long ways away from getting enough treated planks. We only have 86. Thankfully, we do have some scrap metal saved up, and we have some metal blocks as well. And with that, we're going to wrap up today's episode. We got quite a bit done. This is looking pretty dang good. We have a bunch of platforms in, and we're starting to build the walls up even more. Food is not looking great, but we do have a solution. Looks like they actually just harvested all these mushrooms. Or I guess they just finished growing up because all the mushrooms are right here. We just need to get a fermenter set up for them, but we won't need to do that until this drought is over because the power source right here is not working. So if you enjoyed today's episode, go ahead and smash that like button. I really do appreciate it. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and consider becoming a channel member. The next video release will be the 1000 subscriber special. So don't forget to leave any questions you have down below. And with that, we will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.